The spooky season is here, and for many gamers that means it's time to binge on horror games. While I prefer to live as if every day were Halloween, I welcome you to join the excitement and get good and scared with me. After all, fear is just an emotion, right? So here are 10 indie horror titles that might scare the bejesus out of you and maybe even fill you with joy. Huh, that's ironic. But you know what would fulfill us with joy? You supporting Indie Visibility over at patreon.com/idreamofindiegames. You'll gain Discord access to the greatest indie gaming community, enjoy early ad-free shows, shoutouts at the end of every video we produce, our podcast 3 days early, and so much more. But best of all, you're supporting Indie Visibility and real people making real things. Voice to the voiceless. Alright, before we get into all of those terrifying indie releases, well, we've got to take a moment to thank our wonderful indie sponsor for this episode. It's Spiral Up Games with their brand new release, Roulette Hero, available now using the link in our description box below. This fast-paced roguelike deck builder has you assembling a team of adorable animal friends on a roulette board, unleashing epic attacks and combos. Choose from 13 different species, 100 animals, and gain over 90 power-ups as you create epic loadouts that keep each run feeling different from the last. The game also features full leaderboard support where you can battle against the rest of the world for the top spot. Ha! But that's not all. A creative mode via Steam Workshop, which will be coming soon, will allow you to change the look and stats of animals and enemies alike. So just what are you waiting for? Use the link in our description box below and grab Roulette Hero today. It's available now. Alright then, that's all the lighthearted vibes you're gonna get out of this video because now it's on to the indies. Scary ones too. Okay, we're starting things off with a heavy hitter, The Mortuary Assistant. This eccentric ride developed by Darkstone Digital and published by Dread-XP casts you as Rebecca Owens, an apprentice mortician at Riverfields Mortuary. After receiving a job offer from her former college professor, the one who taught her the craft, Rebecca accepts, seeing it as a step forward after overcoming a drug addiction. But as she continues battling her inner demons, she soon finds herself facing external ones. Demonic entities possessing corpses in the mortuary, trying to break into the mortal realm. These demons begin with what feels like pranks, but quickly escalate into surreal reality-warping experiences that blur the line between imagination and nightmare. Gameplay blends routine mortician tasks with investigative horror. You'll observe demonic manifestations to identify both the entity and the corpse it inhabits, then perform a banishing ritual and burn the body before the demon takes hold of you. Each playthrough features a different demon, and your encounters gradually reveal more of the overarching story, giving the game strong replay value. The Mortuary Assistant ranks alongside the GameCube classic Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem in its commitment to messing with the player, so brace yourself for a wild ride. The game is available digitally on Steam, Switch, PS4 and 5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S, priced at $24.99. The Switch and PS5 versions also received limited physical releases through Super Rare Games. On the collector's market, the Switch version currently sells for around $55 to $75, while the PS5 version ranges from $85 to $130 USD. Next up is something a little more obscure, a game that not only forces you to decide whether someone deserves to die, but also puts your own life at risk if you make the wrong choice. Developed and published by Daniel Graves, Veil Transfer casts you as an enforcer for the new Veil Termination program. Your job? Interrogate prisoners suspected of being Veils, creatures that mimic human appearance to blend in and prey on unsuspecting victims. To determine whether a prisoner is a Veil, you're given access to background information, a microphone for direct interrogation, and the ability to administer electric shocks to test pain resistance. Veils are known for their high pain tolerance, lack of human emotion, and poor understanding of human behavior, but they'll try to deceive you with lies and fake feelings. You'll need to pay close attention to every detail. You'll be armed with a shotgun to execute confirmed Veils, but ammo is going to be limited. If you run out and a Veil escapes into the ventilation system, your only hope is to reroute the fans and trap it. Talk about a tense job with a cheapskate employer. Thankfully, you earn money for successful terminations, which can be used to buy more ammo and upgrade your shotgun. With gritty PS1-style low-poly visuals and a premise that forces you to weigh mercy against survival, where mistaking a human for a Veil means killing an innocent and sparing a Veil could mean your death, this game keeps you on edge from start to finish. Veil Transfer is available digitally on Steam as a free game, meaning the only thing scary here is the gameplay, not the price tag. Moving right along to a cult classic where your choices can mean life or death for multiple characters. The Letter, a horror visual novel. This one was developed by Yang Yang Mobile and published by Neon Doctrine. This choose-your-own-adventure visual novel makes every decision count. Your choices not only shape how characters bond and interact, but also determine their ultimate fates. Each character has a dedicated chapter and the story unfolds through their perspectives. It all begins with a mysterious letter discovered during the showing of an old manor that's up for sale. Initially dismissed as a prank, the letter is tied to a centuries-old curse, the lingering grudge of a vengeful spirit. A young real estate agent and the couple interested in buying the house become entangled in the curse, which soon spreads to those close to them. Decisions made early on ripple through later chapters, leading to dramatically different outcomes. A character's death doesn't trigger a game over. It reshapes the narrative for the others, often in unexpected ways. You can save at most points in the game, and I recommend keeping multiple save files to explore alternate story arcs. Be warned though, this game doesn't shy away from brutal consequences. Horrific things happen to likable characters, and the results can be gruesome and gory. Definitely not for the faint of heart. But that's part of what makes the experience so compelling. You'll genuinely care about these characters, and knowing their fate rests in your hands adds a constant sense of dread and tension. With a striking art style full of dark, vivid colors, the letter excels at building atmosphere and pulling you deeper into its haunted world. The game is available digitally on Steam, itch.io, the Google Play Store, and the Nintendo eShop, typically priced at $19.99. There's also a physical release for the Switch via East Asia Soft, though you'll need to hit the collector market for that. Current prices range from $45 to $55 USD for the standard edition and $50 to $80 for the collector's edition. Next up, set to release later this year, but already having a playable demo, it's Below Rusted Gods from developer and publisher From South Games. This game puts you in the role of an exploration team member investigating an alternate dimension. You'll follow a careful investigation protocol, stay in contact with your teammates, and monitor their progress as you delve deeper into the unknown. At first, everything seems eerily quiet. The alternate dimension looks like a near-perfect recreation of your own, but subtle differences begin to emerge along with the presence of things that shouldn't exist. The concept will likely appeal to fans of Stranger Things, as it shares a similar premise of parallel worlds and creeping dread. This is a slow burn horror experience based off of the demo, where tension builds gradually. It starts with small things that feel off, plans not going as expected, and soon escalates into something far more sinister. The visual style evokes late 90s to early 2000s PC games, giving everything a slightly uncanny valley vibe. That's paired with audio design that drops in jarring noises and unsettling cues, constantly suggesting you're not alone. The atmosphere builds steadily, growing more disturbing with each moment. I won't spoil the ending of the demo, but I will say it leaves a lasting impression. Below Rusted Gods is scheduled to launch on Steam later this year, and the demo is available now if you want to give it a try. Our next entry was released earlier this year and features a truly unfortunate protagonist trapped in a horrifying situation. Developed and published by Snoring Dog Games, The Flayed Man puts you in control of a character who wakes up in a nightmare world, completely skinned, alone, and surrounded by thorn-covered hedges with only a hulking demon for company. It's the kind of setup that might tempt you to scrawl a desperate message on the wall, begging someone to save you from hell, just like Frank in Hellraiser. But in this case, you'll have to figure out how to save yourself. There are only a handful of locations to explore, and you'll gather clues by examining objects, interacting with the environment, talking to NPCs, and listening to protagonists' internal thoughts. You can also combine items in your inventory to create new ones. To access the inventory, move your cursor to the top of the screen, something the game doesn't explicitly explain, and a detail worth pointing out since I've seen Steam comments asking how you do this. If you get stuck further, there's a built-in hint system to help you progress as well. Your first playthrough will take about half an hour to get through, and subsequent runs go much faster, especially if you're chasing alternate endings. Priced at just $2.99 on Steam, The Flayed Man may strip away your skin, but it won't strip away your wallet. This next one's also a bit more on the obscure side with Ignited Entry, a game both developed and published by Geordie Boy, where you'll take on the role of a former firefighter who's haunted by memories of his family dying in a fire when he was a child. Awakened by a phone call from his brother, guilting him into helping with a sudden move, he gets in the car with his bro to instead be taken to the remains of their former house that's been burnt down by members of a cult who were offering his family as sacrifices to gain power. Wow. After his brother enters the house and disappears, he realizes that things aren't what they seem, and from there things get even more bizarre as we enter an alternate world within the remains of the old house. You'll have to navigate through strange architecture and solve a variety of puzzles, from hints you see in re-experienced memories that give information on both the family that had once lived there and the cult that had taken their lives. Things aren't always what they seem on the surface, and characters aren't always who they present themselves as being, so you'll have to figure out the truth on your own to succeed. Should you die or make a mistake, the game has a system where you can restart a level once you've accessed it, so you don't have to worry about starting over from the beginning. This is another one where the price is especially nice in the sense of it being free, so give it a try without any risk of losing some of that hard-earned cash. Now we have something special here with Caput Mortem, a game developed by Wild Arts Games and published by Black Lantern Collective. It combines mystery, survival horror, and action-adventure elements to bring you a story set in 16th century France, all about alchemical experiments gone horribly wrong. You will infiltrate a tower to put an end to the dastardly deeds of an alchemist performing all sorts of unethical experiments. The dangers you'll encounter include traps, hazardous workspaces, critters of unusual size, and monstrous entities ranging from bone daddies and zombies to body horror experiments that seem like something David Cronenberg developed as a science fair project in his youth. There's also a bit of an old-school dungeon crawler feel here, and you'll be able to defend yourself once you find a weapon. However, this game has no main inventory system, so what you can carry is limited to a single weapon and one item you can carry in your other hand. You can toggle between being equipped with a weapon or item with the press of a button. While there are healing items that can be found, there are only a limited number of them, but you can store a few for quick access, which is the only form of inventory system that the game contains. The controls might take a little getting used to, but they work really well once you get the hang of them, and the game can be controlled by either controller or mouse and keyboard. There's even a controller mapping option that directly recreates those of the Kingsfield games, so I also found that appealing because I'm an old glutton for punishment. Caput Mortem is a relatively short game, but it's also a sweet experience, especially for those who are into both survival horror and retro dungeon crawlers. You can pick this one up digitally on Steam for $11.99. It also has a demo available for those who want to try before they buy. At number 3 on our list, combining survival horror and turn-based RPG mechanics, this next entry is one that mixes two of my favorite genres into one compelling and memorable experience. Inferno Beyond the Seventh Circle, developed and published by 68K Studios, is a first-person dungeon crawler where death is always lurking somewhere nearby. You must scavenge for resources if you hope to survive. You'll create a character and then navigate a labyrinth filled with grim and gruesome sights. There's resources that can benefit you and enemies that can easily kill you. You'll have to find a nice balance between risk and reward to engage in combat to become strong enough to take on more powerful foes, or evading combat altogether to avoid taking any damage and saving those precious resources. You can rest to heal, but that also comes with risk as enemies will attack you if you rest for too long, and the enemy who shows up may be more formidable than the normal enemies you'll face in that area. This gameplay dynamic builds excellent tension, and it feels sort of like a cross between the Eye of the Beholder and the Fear and Hunger games. This tense gameplay combined with a wonderful visual presentation where you'll encounter well-drawn monstrosities ranging from wild animals who seem to have been mutated by dark magic to spirits, the undead, and demons, creates a strong, dark atmosphere and a feeling of dread when you're playing and making decisions that involve risk. Add to that a gloomy, dark, ambient soundtrack that switches to a dark metal theme at times, emphasizing the danger when you enter combat, and the way the game looks and sounds enhances the experience altogether. Inferno Beyond the Seventh Circle is a sequel to The Seventh Circle Endless Nightmare, but you don't need to play the previous game first, because there's no story connection between the games. This one's available digitally on both Steam and GOG, $16.99. Next is Spirit Hunter NG, a game developed by Experience and Ghostlight Ltd. It was published by Axis Games. Oh, it's very heavy on the atmosphere, this one. In this visual novel and adventure game hybrid, you'll play the role of an 18-year-old delinquent who finds himself caught up in the supernatural when his adoptive young sister is spirited away by a cursed entity who's playing a death game. You'll engage in an investigation to find clues about who and what this spirit is, which other spirits are under the control of this spirit, and how to exorcise the spirit and send it to its own world. The investigations take place on a gridded map, and you'll obtain items and information that can be used in exorcising the spirit you will be facing at a certain part of the story. You will at times have a partner to assist in the investigation, and the decisions you make will determine the fate of your partner. The semi-realistic look of the game adds to the immersion, and the high-quality artwork makes the grotesque even appear beautiful in a way. There's also an option for a scary mode, which will add some jump scares during your investigations. This is an interesting take on the Spirit Hunter series, with a different kind of protagonist from the first game, Deathmark, where a middle-aged man discovers a new purpose in life after developing skills to handle situations involving spirits. This game also has a sequel in the works, so you can look forward to that as well. You can obtain it digitally for $49.99 from Steam and the eShop, and physically it's around $25 to $35 for the Switch version and $30 to $40 for the PS4. Closing out our list, we have Lamentum, developed by Obscure Tales and published by Neon Doctrine. This 2D pixel art survival horror game takes place in the mid-19th century, where a young aristocrat is desperate to find a cure for the terminal illness that afflicts his wife. They turn to an earl who has a reputation for uncovering knowledge from the ancient world. He claims he can cure her disease, but it seems that it might come at a higher cost than they might have thought. The couple eventually finds themselves feeling more like prisoners, and the young bride sets out to confront the earl after her husband is injured. You take control of this young character as he searches for his wife and encounters various types of horrific creatures and deadly traps in the mansion. You will scavenge for resources to help you, and eventually find weapons that allow you to fight back. Ammunition and healing items are limited, so being cautious in your use of them is necessary if you want to make it to the end. In your difficult endeavor, you will come across various NPCs, and which ones you choose to trust and ally yourself with will have a change on the outcome of the story. Knowing who's worthy of your trust is difficult, so it might be a good idea to use multiple save files to see the consequences of your choices at certain points in the story. It'll take multiple playthroughs to get a sense of what's fully going on and how to get the best possible ending. Providing a solid 2D survival horror gameplay experience with high replayability, you'll definitely get your money's worth from Lamentum. It's available digitally through Steam for a not-so-scary price of $15.99. Happy Halloween, everybody! Thank you for sticking around to the end, and feel free to list some of your own indie horror recommendations in the comments below. If you've played any of these games, please let us and the viewers know what you thought of your experience with them. Happy spooky season, and voice to the voiceless.